Wayne, thank you for having me here.
Someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind.
Welcome once again, everybody. Please be seated.
Many weddings you see are traditional. You don't really know that you have the options that are actually out there. Let's Tie the Knot gives you every option you can ever think of. What made you decide to take that route and not do the traditional routine?
Well, we do the traditional as well, but it's I'd say that over 90% of the couples that we work with, this is their first marriage. And they've been to weddings before, but they're not really sure what they want their wedding to be. And they don't know what rules are. Everybody sort of thinks that the traditions that they've seen are the rules. And really it's not. There's only two things that the province mandates that have to be said during a ceremony. And other than that, it's wide open. So I've always liked different. I just like different things and changing things. So we like to explore ideas with couples to say, maybe there's a different way of doing this instead of everybody, instead of having the same ceremony that your parents had or your grandparents or your great-grandparents had. Let's do things just a little bit different if you would like, and to make yours a little more memorable.
And even the way you got into this was a little different to others out there. How did you decide that this was the thing for you?
Actually, my youngest daughter, asked me to perform their wedding ceremony. And I'd never thought about that, so I was honored. I love to write and I love to create, so we wrote the script for them, and I got my temporary license so that I could do the one-day ceremony. And afterwards, I had a couple friends come up to me and say, you should do this. And I said, didn't even know it was a thing. So I did some research and looked into it and got my permanent license as a marriage commissioner and just started from there.
Now, saying that there's a temporary license and there's an official all-the-time license, what's the difference? What's the difference between somebody just going online and getting that temporary one for the day and then the one, what's the process like?
The temporary, it's actually, the application is identical. And surprisingly, the fee is identical. So if you're getting a one-day license, you pay the same as if you were applying to be a marriage commissioner and do it on a regular basis. So I think that's a little bit strange, but that's out of my control. The thing with a lot of people want to have their friends or family member or something do a wedding for them. And like when I did my daughter's, I had no idea what was expected or what to do. Google is my friend, and I did a lot of searching, and I found a lot of scripts and ideas, and that started us out. But nowadays, we also offer the option of couples who want to have a friend or a family member do the ceremony. That will help, we'll advise, we'll be there, and they don't even have to apply for a license then, because we will just sign the marriage license as the observer, and everything is legal then, and we can help them go through the process of doing the ceremony without having to go through the trouble of getting their one-day license. We love to share our experience and ideas and help them if that's what they want. If not, we would just simply review the script that the person wants to deliver for the ceremony, make sure that the legal statements are made somewhere therein, and then we would just sit back and observe the ceremony, and we would be the officiant of record signing the license.
Now, for us, we chose you guys because we like how different you are. We really loved the connection that we had with you just over, a Zoom interview.
Yeah, this is the first time we've met in person.
It is, which is crazy because it feels like we've known each other for a long time. I'm assuming that's helped you along in this business. You're just that personable guy. We're not going to mention the socks because, that's... we'll wait till the end for that part. But what would you say makes the perfect ceremony for you?
I don't think I've done the perfect ceremony yet. It's still out there somewhere. I love exactly what you talk about, the connections that we're able to develop, or sometimes they're instantaneous. Sometimes you just click with certain people. It happens in just everyday life, not just in this business. And those ones are special and memorable. I have done hundreds of weddings, and I have probably 4 or 5 that are etched in my memory that I will, will always be there, that were kind of special to me. And it was about the people, not the ceremony itself, although some of them were a little bit memorable as well. But it's about the people and the connections. So, yeah, you just be yourself. That's it. You can't put on any airs. And if it works for couples, it's great. If not, there's tons of options, lots that they can choose from.
And in saying that, I mean, you've got so many things. When we first started looking, we were like, oh my goodness, we don't know what we want. But the way your website is lined up, it shows you can have a romantic ceremony, you can have a traditional ceremony, you can combine the two, you can have a bit of comedic in there. How do you mold your script to each couple differently? We've
developed a questionnaire that have some pretty basic questions, really, and we send it to the couples. I ask each of the 2 people being married to fill it out individually and then return it to me. And I find that even though people are telling the same story, it's their memories, it's the way they express it and talk about it, that provides the uniqueness that we can build into the ceremony. And that's really where it's easy to find the humor. If you tell me something about maybe your proposal and what you remember, and your partner shares a little bit different take on it, that's where the humor can be found. So we take that information and we talk to the couples and ask questions and find out what we can, and then personalize the ceremony. And then we share it with the couple ahead of time. We don't want to have any surprises. We don't want to say anything that you're uncomfortable with or that you don't want to share. So we make sure that you have full right of editing or changing. And I've not had it yet, but I always tell couples, if you don't like anything, just tell me. We'll start over. It's easy to write a ceremony.
How long does it take?
Generally. Getting pretty good at it. It very much depends on the information I get back from the couple, what they give me. Some people are very succinct and don't share a lot, and others write pages and pages. So somewhere in between is really the best answer. But I think generally I write a ceremony, the first time through would probably take me a half hour to 45 minutes.
Okay. Now another thing that you do, which I kind of like, at first I was like, no, this is a secret thing. I'm not going to share it with anybody else. But once we spoke with you, you look at the vows, and it's not to know exactly what we're going to say, but it's so that both the members of the couple are on the same page. What made you decide to do that? Where did that idea come from?
Love is a miraculous gift, and a wedding is a celebration of that magic. And that is why we're here today. It's important, I think, in a ceremony that the celebration is about the couple. It's not about an individual, partner 1 or partner 2. It's about the couple. And so you want to make sure that your vows are somewhat complementary and similar in length to each other. I think it's a little bit awkward if one partner has 3 pages of vows that they're going to read off and the other one has 1 paragraph. The guests will probably make comments about that, or they will think about it. So we just try and avoid that and try and keep everybody similar together. And it's paid off, and we still keep them secret. We don't, so that when you're hearing the vows on the wedding day, it's the first time you've heard them. But I'm the only one that has the prequel.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Now, with COVID, with this whole pandemic that's gone on, you actually found a different way to do weddings, and you incorporated Zoom into it. Not only is that obviously helpful at the moment, but that's something you're going to be able to use in the future for those who can't make the wedding anyways. Can you explain what that process is like and how it impacts the wedding in a different way?
Yeah, it's quite simple the way we do it, actually. We just do it on my iPhone. I set it up. I have a very stable holder, and we usually get somebody in the front row to hold the gimbal so that they can video the wedding, and it's close enough for people to hear. I don't like using a tripod because that gets in the way of the photographer. So we want to let the photographer be able to capture the memories and do their job without interfering with that. And we've done, I think, 3 or 4 Zoom weddings now. where there's a certain number of guests on hand. I did one just a couple weeks ago. They had guests in the backyard and then broadcast it to, I think, about 50 or 60 other people seeing it online. So yeah, it was, we were forced into it, but I think a lot of things with COVID and the pandemic and the way it's changing our life. I hate the term new normal, but I guess that's what it is. And I think that's just one of them. There's going to be a lot of things that are positive changes as we continue through this and then come out the other end. And
for the viewers that aren't sure, it's not like a Zoom meeting. It's not like everybody's going to be talking while you're up there getting married.
No, we set it up so that when people log in, they're muted. Now, people that are Zoom users are comfortable with it. They know that they can unmute themselves. But our broadcasting phone is turned on silent, so if people are talking, it's not going to interfere with the ceremony. And it's important that they hear. And sometimes the couple, we've had the case where the couple takes the phone afterwards when we finish the ceremony and we go away with the bridal party, and they have a chance to chat individually or as a group with the people that weren't able to be there in person.
And then with the gimbal, you don't have to worry about that person in the front row sobbing their eyes out, because it will keep the phone straight and the camera in focus. Obviously, wedding season is extremely busy for you, so you can't do it all on your own. How did you find your team?
A whole bunch of different ways. One of them I've known for a few years. One of them I work with. And a couple of them approached me when they first became commissioners and wanted to gain from our experience and have joined our team. So the key thing for me is personalities. I'm trying to have a team, and we do have a team that has a wide array of personalities, so that I'd like to think there's somebody for everybody, for every couple, and we don't do things the same way. So even if I write the script, and I write the scripts for all of our team, even if I write the script, the personality of the person delivering it makes it unique and makes it different.
That's so great, because it's still got your touch, which again is what drew us to your company, so obviously that's needed. But then, as you're saying, if somebody feels that connection with somebody else on your team instead, they can still have that personal touch with that personality. That's awesome.
It's kind of interesting when you're dealing with couples. Some couples want to move away from the tradition of a church. They want to have a different wedding, a more unique wedding, so they look for a marriage commissioner. Some are adamant that they want a female or a male commissioner. Some are just looking for a personality that seems to fit. So, there's as I said, there's lots of options, and within our team, there's a wide array of options.
Good. And then obviously you are equal when it comes to doing the wedding. You'll do anybody's wedding.
Yep. We're very happy. We've done a number of same-gender weddings. We actually have done a wedding of 2 transgender people, and all different races. Canada's a melting pot. Winnipeg, Manitoba's a melting pot. And the thing that it's exposed us to, which I wasn't really expecting when I first started it, different cultures have different traditions within their weddings. And we've had the opportunity to learn those and include those into some of the ceremonies. And that's been really interesting to see.
That's really neat. It must open your eyes to a whole bunch of different things.
It certainly does. And the way that you can embrace all the different cultures, all the different traditions, and still have a unique wedding ceremony that represents who you are as a couple. It's a great thing.
So how does it work for those who don't know, for those who haven't been married yet? Do you just show up on the day, do your thing, and leave, or do you get to stick around and have dinner and dance as well?
I very often get invited to stay for the dinner and dance, and I always politely decline. For a couple of reasons. One, I know what weddings cost, and I know what you're paying for a meal, and I would much rather see you pay that to have another friend or another family member. And I always joke with, the only people I would know there are the couple and maybe the bridal party, so I'd be like the weird old uncle at the kids' table that nobody knows what he's doing there. So.
But you'd fit right in.
I'd fit right in with the kids, that's for sure, yeah.
How many years have you been doing this in Winnipeg?
This is just going into my 5th. I've done it for 4 years.
But in that time, you've been able to build relationships, not only with each couple that you work with, but with the whole wedding industry. So on your website, you actually have resources that couples can go on and they can see, you know, if they need a photographer, if they need somebody else to do with weddings. You give everything to a couple that they could ever need.
You've done your homework. Look at you. Yeah, we do. I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of different vendors. Some of them I can say I've developed friendships with, and we communicate outside of work, Facebook, and I get together with a couple of very creative wedding planners a few times a year, and we just sit around and swap ideas and swap horror stories. And we are of the like mind where we want to give couples ideas and opportunities to put a unique twist and a unique touch to their wedding. And I have some photographers that I've worked with who are very creative and very innovative, and their work I think is beautiful. And we try and find photographers and any kind of vendor in a broad range of prices too, so that if I am working with a couple and they say, I really want to save some money, can you help me find X type of vendor at a lower price? So we've got some options that we can suggest for them.
You really do seem to have all the answers, which is awesome. It's very helpful.
You can't get to be this old without learning a few things.
There was one thing that I wasn't sold on when it came to you, and that's your socks, because you hate them.
I do. I do not do socks. Unless the snow is deep, it's a joke. I have friends say, you just don't do winter, do you? Even in the winter, I don't wear socks.
How?
Don't put them on. It's not that hard. When it's really cold or really deep snow, I'll put on socks. And I will wear socks with a suit for a wedding. I just, out of respect to the couples, generally I do that. I once worked with a pastor who I'll never forget. He wears sandals when he's got a suit on, and he wears sandals. And I said, that's really different. And he said, well, it fits. He said, my boss wears sandals. I said, really? How do you figure that? He says, well, Jesus wears sandals. So there you go. So I haven't gone to the sandals, but yeah, definitely no socks. I'm sorry, and I know that's a big thing for you.
You know what?
But in fairness, I don't see any on you today either.
But I have a backup.
Oh.
Because I always wear mismatched socks, so I got a tattoo on one foot and not on the other.
Nice.
So when I'm not wearing socks, I'm still wearing socks.
No, sorry. Yeah, no socks. No socks.
Tattoos?
Yeah, one. Not on my feet.
So if we're lucky enough to have you do our wedding, would you wear mismatched socks for us?
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Happy to do it.
Wayne, where can people find your business?
We're on, website is www.letsthiethenot.ca. And we're also on Facebook, on Instagram, although I let other people do the Instagram posts because I can only figure out so many things.
It's getting tough.
It's getting tough, I know.
Thank you so much, Wayne. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. Thank you.
Woohoo. This mysterious and magical joy is the greatest treasure of all, one known only by those who love.